All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me? Can someone text in the chat if they can hear me? All right, so we're going to get started. My name is Romain Danielou, co-founder at LandQuire. Today, we're going to present our latest land deal located in New Braunfels, Texas. We're going to go over the land parcel. We're going to go over the data room. We're going to go over the financial model. We're also joined by our head of acquisition, Willem van Biesen, as well as Christian Dolong, international tax CPA based in Miami, Florida, from Nexus Global. And we will also have an investor, Kevin Lançon, that is planning to invest in the deal with a group of investors. So I will share my screen and we'll get started to give you as much information as possible to invest within the LandQuire community. All right, just to double check, if someone can confirm you can see my screen. Willem, if you can confirm me, because I'm not seeing the screen, the people on the webinar just yet. If you can confirm verbally, that'd be great.
Everything is good, Romain.
Okay, great. All right. So for that land deal, we're looking at a 58-acre parcel located in New Braunfels, Texas. New Braunfels is the second fastest growing city in terms of demographic in 2024 out of the entire country. We're looking at raising $3.882 million of equity, and we will have a time horizon between 24 to 36 months to entitle the parcel and sell it fully entitled. We're looking at $100,000 minimum ticket size entry as an LP, a 10% pref return, and 55% of profit split above that pref return. On the first page of that presentation, you can click right here and it will take you right away into the data room, and right here for the pro forma, which I will go over right after the presentation. So LandQuire is a property technology company that aim to find off-market discounted land deals on which we can force the appreciation in order to sell to land developers and builders. We reviewed 1.45 million parcels last year. Since 2021, we bought properties in 92 counties in the US. We currently have 14 PUD either sold or under management. A PUD is a planned unit development where entitlements are needed. We have today 600 plus investors that joined the platform and invested a minimum of $100,000 within the LandQuire community. a total of $33 million raised as of the beginning of portfolio 13. So you can add a couple million just now. In terms of the size, we look at 15 to 500 acre parcels. We look at the characteristic in details of every single parcels in terms of topography, wetland, flood zone, utilities, proximity to services, and retail path. We're looking at the land path development. And in terms of the permitting, we look with our land planner on ground, what is the process to get the land entitlement done, and we provide a full scope of work for every single investment that you invest in by working with local pros. On this deal, we're working with LGA. It's a national land planner firm with 3,000 plus employees. And we look at a clear exit path in terms of who is the ideal buyer to take us out pre-construction. Again, I want to make it clear, we do not do any of the vertical or horizontal construction. We are a land entitlement investment firm that aim to get in and out within 36 months of the acquisition of the land. Our vision is to leverage data-driven insights to address the American housing crisis by creating sustainable, innovative land solutions that meet the community needs and municipal goals. Our mission is to help retail and institutional capital to get access to high potential alternative land investments in the American market. As you may be aware, for people that live in the US or people outside of the US, we have a large housing crisis. Above 2.3 million units needs to be built over the next couple of years in order to get back to an even supply. You can take a look at a little bit of the past deals that we sold on our website. You can also take a look at this slide and click on our sold deals data room. We also included some of the deals that we currently have under PUD in the Texas area. A little bit of a schema to explain again that we just buy the raw land and entitle it in order to exit. The blue top condition and the finished lots is being done by the builders and developers. Some of the steps that we're working with LGA to get that deal that parcel fully entitled. We're looking at the stormwater management, the detention pond design, utility service agreements, the project meeting with the county and the city, and total we're looking at a 30-step process on average for the parcels located in Texas in order to finish our due diligence and our entitlements. LandQuire is looking at sustainable, transparent, and economic impact. We have more information in the data room. If you have questions in terms of our of the carbon offset, the environmental risk management, the economic growth and job creation, and the monitoring and access to technology to build these subdivisions, we're happy to answer those questions as well. So first of all, why investing in Texas? As some of you may be aware, Texas is the fastest growing median home price over the last 5 years, as well as the GDP growth, the population growth, the infrastructure growth, and we're looking at being second in terms of the increase in tourism. Within the Texas area, we have currently over 3,000 lots being entitled in the San Antonio metro area, which include New Braunfels. You can see that San Antonio has a lower median home price than some of the other cities located in the Texas Triangle, which is constituted by Austin, Dallas, Houston, and San Antonio. Okay. But looking at every city within that Texas Triangle, you can see that there is tremendous growth in every sector, including the population, the infrastructure, tourism, and the GDP growth. This is really why we're looking at capitalizing within this Texas Triangle. The property, again, we're looking at 58-acre with access to public utilities right in front of us. The sewer and the water is available. Willem, our head of acquisition, will give you a little bit more details in terms of the topography and some of the flood zone on the property. In terms of the investment, you are buying shares, preferred shares to be exact, in the LQ Investments Portfolio 14 LLC. The LLC is already created. The bank account is already created. The goal is to fund the deal before March 20th. So the wires will need to be done before March 20th. And LandQuire Management is the fiduciary managing general partner, okay? We manage the property from A to Z until it is sold. You'll be able to see the financial model in a second, so I can explain you a little bit of the numbers projected in terms of returns. Again, for people that are not familiar with New Braunfels is 40 minutes away from San Antonio and 45 minutes away from Austin. New Braunfels has a 29% growth of population over the last 5 years. And in terms of 2024, New Braunfels is number 2 in terms of population growth out of the entire country. You can take a look at the source below as well. So the property is already under contract. We are well on our way to complete the due diligence. The goal for this property is to subdivide it on the left side of it, the property, into a residential subdivision, single family residence. Currently, what you see on the screen, these lots are 50 by 120, 6,000 square feet total, with a 50-foot wide road with 2 detention ponds and some drainage area to make sure that we do not impact the neighbors. You can see on the right side of my screen here that we have a commercial area. We are already zoned commercial, so we would not have to do any rezoning, which is the beauty of it, and this is why we're implementing a commercial area. The goal is to create 4 lots between 1 to 2 acre lots, depending on what the commercial real estate broker advises on doing. We're expecting feedback from him next week. Again, coming back a little bit on that before I forget. So currently we have some of the property that is located within the city and some of the property that is located within the county. We're looking to annex the entire property within the city in order to go as high as 40 feet wide lots in terms of density. If we succeed doing that, which we don't foresee any red flag for that, knowing that it would increase the taxation for the city, we would be able to get up to 280 lots. So we're going to talk about that in details with investors that want to dig deeper as well. The financial projection, I'm going to go right back to it once I share the Excel model. It'll be easier to understand. Some of the single-family residence comparables, you will see that the lots that are 40 and 50s in terms of road frontage are typically having houses that are selling between $400,000 to $600,000 at the moment. And again, feel free to go on Zillow as well to take a look at the area. I will also share my screen. Maybe it was Willem. We're going to show you a little bit of some of the builders around us. LandQuire Management manage the entire project from A to Z, which include the project monitoring. You're receiving reports every 90 days on our private platform. We're helping you in terms of the legal entity. If you want to create an LLC, a C Corp, or a trust, Christian will be helping you with that. And we're also managing the financials and the accounting with an external bookkeeper and external CPA. You can read some of the notes that me and my partners wrote. Some of our executives working within the LandQuire Management entity. Daniel Charlton is our CEO. He's been with us for the last 4 years. Thibaut Guéant is my original partner. that is working as the head of investor relation. Alexandre Thévenet is also helping him on investor relation. Willem van Biesen, our head of acquisition, he's been with us for, I believe, 3.5 years now. Will be presenting himself as well. Laura Zepeda, our director of finance, and Kazi, our senior manager in terms of data. Again, in order to find those opportunities, we typically send 3,000 to 5,000 offers, whether it's SMS, mailer, or phone calls, in order to find one deal similar to this one. We also have access to a large network of wholesalers that we work with for the last couple of years that know our buying criteria and typically help us to assign deals if they find some parcel interesting for acquisition. You can also connect with our head of investor relations. There are all directors that will explain us the full process in details if you want some personalized meetings on physically or digitally. And our investor relation associates. In terms of the data room and financial model, I'm going to start by the financial model. I think that's really what everyone is looking to understand. How do we create the return? What are the risks and what is the upside? I have it here. So again, we're very transparent at LandQuire on where is the capital going once you invest. We're selling 100% of the preferred shares for $3.882500. You can look at the details in terms of the land acquisition. The land acquisition is 2.7 million total, with 1.5 million at closing and 1.2 million that is a seller note with a balloon payment paid 36 months after the acquisition. Okay, so within our equity investment, we only raise the 1.5, and the 1.2 is looking to be paid when we sell the land within the next 36 months. Okay, so we also included the property taxes, the property insurance for the next 3 years, the due diligence, project management, and reimbursement costs that we had for the due diligence, the acquisition commission, the capital raise, the land planner, the external engineering contractors, the city and county fees, and 10% of contingency. Okay, so the investment is the 3.882, and the goal for this property is to resell it at 10.3 million as a bare minimum. How do we get to 10.3 million? On one hand, we have 242 single-family residence lots that are currently on our pre-conceptual. You will see in the data room that some of our neighbors sold for $35,000, 40 feet wide lots. Okay, so this is a little bit how we're comping here. We're expecting to sell our 50 foot wide lots for 35, when we have a comp that sells lots smaller for the same price. Okay, once you add the residential to the commercial area, which we have currently 4.6 acre of commercial area, with some comps on the same road on the I-46 highway, we have some comps at $900,000 and $800,000 per acre. The goal for us is to wholesale the commercial area to a warehouse builder, to a retail builder, someone that can take us out of our commercial area within 36 months. Okay. So we're getting a total of 10.3 million minus the broker, which is already sourced. Our broker is named Greg. He's been working with builders and developers for the last 10 years. And he's the one that found our buyer. Well, there was 2 buyers on the table for portfolio 13, but he's the one that's going to work on this deal as well. So very confident working with him. After you deduct the disposition cost, the closing cost, and the seller notes, we're getting to a net revenue coming back to the bank account of LQ Investment Portfolio 14 of 8.594500. Okay, so that's what's getting back on the bank account. And after you deduct the original investment from you guys as a limited partner, we're getting to a projected $4.7 million in profit, which is 121% as a deal ROI. Okay, so now you're going to ask me how much am I getting out of the 121%? Well, we made a very simple model. We're offering 10% per year, right? So if we sell within 24 months, you're getting the first 20% of the profit, okay? That pref return is paid at exit, okay? And on top of that, you're getting anywhere between 55 to 70% of the profit once the pref is paid, okay? It's going to depend on how much you invest in the deal. The more you invest, the more profit sharing the GP is giving away to the limited partners, okay? So in terms of ROI, net ROI pre-tax, projected, if we sell at 10.3 million, if you're investing, I'm going to take a very simple case study. If you're investing between $100 to $250,000 on a 2-year basis, you would get 76% in terms of ROI, and you would get 38% in terms of IRR. Okay, so annualized return. Okay, if we take longer, the GP gives an extra 10% per year in terms of pref. So your ROI would increase, but your IRR, annualized return, would decrease. Okay, so feel free to take a look at that model. We're going to share that as well. And we're happy to answer any questions in terms of the projected numbers. In terms of the data room, it's a really, really, really important thing for you guys as limited partners to take the time to look at the data room. There's quite a bit of documents, okay, in terms of the commercial and residential comps, the contract that we signed with the seller, okay, with the deposit, and I believe there is a couple more things that Willem added. We have a couple exhibits and the seller financing. So take a look at that. We have the LGA entitlement plan and timeline. I think it's very important that I show that so you have an idea of what it looks like. We typically take that process and put it into a planner, which is a digital tool that you will have access to in order to understand as the time evolve. Willem is updating on a weekly basis the steps that are done or on the way to be done. Okay. But again, we're happy to have some private meetings with our land planner as well if you really, really want to understand what goes into entitlements. Going back to the data room, we also have the plans, which again, the latest plan that we currently have from the land planner is the one on the right with the colors on the left were provided by the seller, but we found mistakes in terms of the drainage and in terms of the topography, and we try to update it as much as we can. That conceptual plan will change over time. There will be a couple different versions up to the meetings with the county and the city. Right now, we're waiting on the hydraulic study to understand where will be the drainage and the detention pond and how much dirt will need to be moved in order to accommodate the amount of lots that we want to have. Okay, so this is already engineers that work on that. We make sure to supervise them. They're a little bit like attorneys, right? They do their job well, but you need to be on top of it to make sure that it's done on time. In terms of the property views, so I'm going to go over that directly on Google Map. The survey is already in. We have some of the tax cards if you want to see the current taxes and the utilities. The utilities, again, we have sewer and water at the road, which is amazing. We don't have to go through off-site construction. We don't have any easement that needs to be acquired. And these will be good attributes in terms of the resale, knowing that the builders want to have a complete overview of the utilities, but also the topography and the OPCs, which is the opinion of price construction. We typically get the opinion of price construction 120 days after we close on the land. The quicker, the better. Our realtor is waiting on them in order to pitch our project to builders. But again, This is part of the investment. You invest, we go find the answers, and then once we get the full answers, we know exactly how many lots we're going to get. Typically, for the current deals that we have, we never varied more than 5% between the time that we presented a pre-conceptual up to the approval by the city, which is great. We're trying to be conservative in terms of the amount of drainage, the amount of detention or retention pond that we have, making sure that we have the right size of roads for the traffic impact study. And that's something that we work on a weekly basis with Willem. I also added the data city growth, so you can see a little bit of the population increase in terms of on an Excel in New Braunfels. I think these are good data to have as well. And that sums up basically the data room that we currently have. That data room is live. It's getting updated on a weekly basis, like I said. And every time we have a new document, we do our best to communicate that to our investors, whether it's pre-investment or post-investment. But again, we have access to the same data room, so that's for us the most important. So I'm going to let Willem take over to share his screen and show a little bit behind a screen on Zillow what's going on around us, why this deal could potentially make over 100% ROI over the next, I would say, 12 to 36 months. Again, the last deal that we sold in Texas with a subdivision, we made 113% in 30 months. Okay, so that's roughly 2.5 years. It was a city with less than 100,000 people. It was not within the Texas Triangle. So we're optimistic that we're going to be able to sell that within 24 months. Portfolio 13 seems like it's going to be sold within 12. Again, we give as much information as we can, so you can take your decision based on the other investment that you're getting pitched on. So Willem, is there anything that I'm missing, Willem? We talked about the data room, the financial model, the brochure. You're going to receive all that via email after the call if you've been registered to this webinar. And I'll let you take over, Will.
Okay. Thank you, Romain. Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen with you all.
In terms of the questions, so some people will have questions. Shoot your questions in the chat already if you have any. There's no wrong questions, and we're going to do an FAQ for about 15 minutes at the end if there's questions. I'll take in order the questions. So the first that shoots his question will get his answer. So go ahead.
Great. You can see my screen, Romain? Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So looking at where we're located, as Romain mentioned before, we are halfway in between San Antonio on the south west and on the northeast. We have Austin, both between 40-45 minutes away from us. We have downtown New Braunfels here and the Interstate 35 that's connecting the two major cities. We're right off of the Highway 46, and as you can see here on the map as well, we're right in the path of development. We have a lot of builder groups that are currently constructing some of their new projects, some groups that have already sold out or are close to selling out their entire subdivision. So we do know we're going to have interest from different builder groups within this market. Looking at Zillow and the comps that we're basing our numbers on the northeast of us. So for everyone's perspective, this is where we're located, where my cursor is. And around us, we have Lennar that has built a new subdivision there. We have a new subdivision that was just finished and completely built out on the north of us. And here we have groups like KB Homes, Pulte Homes, and Perry Homes that are currently in the process of building homes on similar lot sizes that we're looking to go to market with. To give everyone a general idea of home values, depending on lot sizes, some lot sizes are a bit oversized and are 60 or 70 foot wide. We're aiming for 50 foot wide lots. Prices vary from the low 400,000s all the way up until 7, even 800,000 is what we're seeing as well. So that's really what the area looks like. The comps that we have that are backing up our land value once it's fully entitled. With also in the front, we have the opportunity to sell off the 5-acre commercial piece as well. I would say that's really everything when it comes to location and numbers. I don't know if you would like to add anything to that, Romain.
No, if you can, for 1 minute, maybe describe a little bit the process that you have with LGA in terms of entitlement. I know that this is the fifth deal in Texas. This was the fourth that we're working on with LGA. Any comments on that end?
Yeah, so for everyone's information, we're splitting up the engineering work into 2 different phases. One, which is really for the feasibility of a site to make sure that it's meeting our criteria and we're not running into any potential issues down the road. Once we've passed our feasibility period, we move on to the entitlement. So to show you the graph with the surveying that's being worked on, we have an engineer that's putting together an extensive hydraulic modeling report, because in the middle of our residential part, as you might see here, we have some flood zone that we're looking to mitigate and reclaim back from FEMA in order to win lots back and therefore acreage that can be built. On top of that, in order to get to the 50-foot wide lots, we're looking to get annexed into the city limits, as well as for utilities. We'll already be getting in contact with the Texas Department of Transportation to get a good understanding of what offsite requirements are going to be needed for our project when it comes to a roundabout, a traffic light, a right or left turn lane, whether that's going to be necessary. And then on top of that, we'll be focusing as well on the utility service agreements with the 2 water provider, or the water and sewer provider. We're dealing with Spring Hill here. We have a 16-inch water line right in front of the property along the Highway 46 located here that should provide us with enough capacity to tie into with the commercial piece, as well as the 242 residential lots in the back. And as well, right in front of us, across the street, we currently have the sewer lines, as well as a manhole where we can tie into the already existing sewer lines. So we're not expecting any issues when it comes to utilities. Everything is available and should have enough capacity, but that's part of the feasibility, and most importantly during the entitlement, that we have those agreements signed, that the builder groups that would be interested in acquiring this property, we can convey those agreements over to them at closing. So that will be part of the entitlement as well. We do have the first conceptual plan already drawn, like Romain showed earlier, and we'll be working on that more in depth in order to get to our final plat that will be submitted with the city and county for their review, to get their sign off. And we're expecting that before the year end, that we have the ability to have all the final approvals in, and have one of the builder groups that will be taking this off our hands start working on the actual horizontal construction of this site.
Great, Willem. Thank you. These are great details to have. I'm sure we're going to be able to dive more in details with personalized meetings for investors. I'm going to bring Kevin Lançon on the panel. Kevin is currently an investor in the LandQuire community. I believe he invested $900,000 in the portfolio 11, which is south of San Antonio. Kevin, I believe, is looking to write a second check with this group of investors for this deal. Kevin, what do you think? What's your opinion on LandQuire at the moment after investing. I believe you started a year ago. What's your experience?
Yeah. So to give you a little context, as you said, Romain, I represent a group of investors, and we invested in portfolio 11. And I discovered LandQuire like a year and a half ago. We invested after 6 months of discussion together and with your team, with LGA also. We are going to position ourselves on the portfolio catalog that's being presented today. And more recently, I joined the team for the fundraising efforts too. So this is to give you a little context on what I'm doing as an investor. I've been in investment world for 10 years now. And from an investor's perspective, I would say that an investment is boiled down into the risk reward ratio, I would say, and the trust that you have in this ratio. And LandQuire provides, for me, a high yield investment with a very well controlled risk, and that's why we have been investing in LandQuire these last year and a half, I would say. But to reach this conclusion, I didn't just trust what was exposed to me like you're doing right now during the webinar. I did my job as an investor. I tried to understand the product. I tried to understand the process of value creation, because it's all about how do you guys create the value? How do we go from 4 million to 10 million? Like, what's happening in between? And all this is having the entitlements validated by the city. But how do we get the entitlement validated by the city? Why is it not that risky? Or what are the challenges that are going to be involved? Like, this is everything, every question that I have on the operational side, because I'm a very operational guy. I like to understand everything, how it works. All these questions that I ask, all the, I mean, I challenge your team on so many things, and on every subject, every point, an answer was given to me, and it not only makes sense, but it's brilliant. Like for example, you were talking about LGA, how you LGA is the land planner. That's the firm that's going to communicate with the city to make it happen for the permits. And they have so many experiences. They have like 2,500 people working in that firm. They've built hundreds of thousands of plans and houses and small project, big project. Like, they know what they're doing, and this is so comfortable from an investor point of view to know that the people working on a deal, they've done that for years and years and years for at bigger scales. So it's just when you dig deeper, when you try to understand, when you do your job as an investor, you can only trust the process. Like, you understand where it comes from, you understand why it's possible. Because the first thing you might say is like, how do we reach these yields? How is it possible to have like 20, 50, 60% return? Like, well, do your job, understand the process, and you'll see it's possible. It's just, but this is why LandQuire is brilliant. Like, it gives access to a normal investor to be part of the process, because you, me, us, as like just normal people, we don't know the process. We don't know that it exists. We don't know it's possible. We don't know how to do it. And LandQuire, they're covering the gap. They're giving me access to this kind of return, and that's why we invested. That's why we trusted you guys. And yeah, I mean, that's from an investor point of view. That's all I can say. It's great.
Thank you, Kevin. For anyone that wants to reach out to Kevin, I mean, he's like he said, a very operational guy. I think you're one of the investors that challenged me the most since we started 4 years ago, which is, that's why I'm inviting you on the webinar.
Yeah.
So we're gonna again, feel free to drop questions in the chat if you have any. We're gonna finish with Christian Dolong, that is gonna present himself a little bit in terms of the taxes. I know it's different based on where you're located and how you want to structure your investment. but a couple words from Christian will be always helpful.
Hello, everybody. Can you
Yes, we can
see me
hear you.
okay and hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm just going to, I have a little presentation. It's a couple of slides that I'll go through. My name is Christian DeLong. I'm a CPA based in Miami, Florida. I'm the proprietor of a CPA firm called Nexus Global. And we concentrate on taxes for clients, both personal and corporate, and we specialize in the nexus between U.S. and Europe. So this is firmly within, whether we're dealing with U.S. investors who are investing as limited partners or foreign investors investing through an entity such as an LLC. That's firmly within our skill set. Let me just see if I can share my presentation. My presentation button is grayed out, so I'll just go from memory. Anyways, we're here and we're available to help. We have special pricing that we've put together for the LandQuire investors. That's anything to do with company creation, tax returns, tax filings, getting the proper EIN numbers or ITIN numbers, depending on where you're investing from. We can also assist with beneficial ownership interest reporting, which is a requirement. It was going back and forth in the courts. It got challenged a couple of times, but it is definitely back. So we're here to help, and if there's anything that we can do, I have a you can go to nexusglobal.cpa. We're available for a free 15-minute consultation. Should any of the investors, either American or European, have any questions that they want to run by, that's our bread and butter. So don't hesitate to reach out. Again, Christian DeLong at Nexus Global CPA.
Thank you, Christian. Again, for everyone that are not sure how they would invest, most of our investors typically create an LLC located in Florida or Wyoming. This is where they invest their money, and then they buy shares in the entity, which is LQ Investment Portfolio 14, right? When we sell the property, you're getting distributions, and these distributions will be taxed at the normal LLC tax bracket. Any details on that, Christian?
Yes. So it's a good thing that you mentioned LLC. Again, for these types of deals, my experience is that LLC is the preferred vehicle. LLC has the ability to be taxed in different ways. If it's if it's more than one person, it's a partnership. You can elect to be taxed as a C corp, and if it's owned by a foreigner, it's considered a foreign owned disregarded entity. So basically, the tax treatment is obviously going to depend on where you're investing from, but inbound taxation rules in the U.S. are very friendly, especially towards European investors. So really, it's nothing to there's no hurdle that we can't overcome. And also, there's a tax treaty between many countries. They're all pretty much modeled after a model tax treaty, and they afford the benefit of not being taxed twice on your earnings. So basically, if you're, for example, a resident of France and you invest in the U.S. and you end up paying taxes in the U.S., you'll most likely receive a tax credit on your French tax return for any taxes that you paid in the U.S. and vice versa. I mean, obviously, that's for U.S. investors if they were investing outbound. The choice of venue for the LLC, many people like Delaware. I personally, I'm not a huge fan of Delaware. I think that their pricing is pretty high compared to some of the other states that I've created LLCs in. Some of the friendlier ones are Florida, Wyoming, Montana. And again, you can create an entity in pretty much any state that you want for this type of investment. Other things that take into consideration really have to do with just making sure that you respect all of the deadlines for tax purposes and tax reporting. Obviously, that's something that we could assist with, or whoever you're dealing with, just to make sure that you don't miss deadlines. There are automatic penalties for certain tax returns that are not filed timely, and information returns. So having a good advisor on your side will make all the difference in terms of having a smooth investment experience. So I'm not sure if there are any
Great.
questions, but
That's great. In terms of the pricing, feel free to reach out to Christian. If you can put your email maybe in the chat, Christian, that'd be great.
Sure.
I think we covered Paul's question in terms of taxes for Europe residents. Some of it is paid at the LLC level, and then you get a tax credit for the European aspect of things for most of the countries, depending on where you're located. So feel free to lock up a 15-minute call with Christian. We appreciate everyone that was available today. What happened if issues with permits for the development? So just to answer quickly that, Paul, the matter here is not really whether or not we get the permits. It's really to figuring out exactly how many lots we're going to get, what's the buildable acreage, and that's being figured out as we go with the hydraulic, the survey, the topography, the environmental study, and overall the entitlement over the next 12 months. Like I said, we have a very high confidence in terms of what we presented at 242 lots. It could be more, it could be a little bit less, but that's our goal. That's what we're going to work with over the next 12 months to get a new appraisal for the land parcel a year from now that justify that value. Okay. What is the total entitlement budget? So Alexander, good question. I'm gonna share with you again the financial model, but by head you're looking at above 1.5 million between the GP and the land planner and the project management. These are healthy fees in order to make sure we have the right people working on the project. It might sound high as a multifamily investor, for example, but in terms of the land entitlement, it's a lot of work. It's weekly hours working on this, whether it's with the land planner, the city, the county, or the external contractors. But again, those fees are really justified in order to get the value that we want to get in terms of paper lots, right? We want to achieve $35,000 per paper lot. You will see in the comparables that some of the finished lots, are selling between 90 to 100,000. Here, we don't expect more than 35 to 40,000 of construction to get to a finished lots. So basically, a builder would be able to get all in between land and construction, all in at $70,000 per paper lot, per finished lots. Where the typical market value is at 90,000. The goal is to give them a discount for them to do the construction and not us, right? We typically want to have a 20% discount, if that makes sense. So I hope that answered your question, Alexander. It's been 15 minutes. We typically try to keep it under an hour, between 45 to an hour. I want to thank everyone again for the last 4 years, for everyone that works within LandQuire, investors, outside contractors, CPAs, attorneys. It's really, really a great adventure. We're looking at finishing the raise again on this one by March 20th. We have already 2 million plus of commitment. The contracts, PPM and USA, will be sent next week. Again, these are 2 contracts that you sign as an investor to get your units, your shares as an investor. And the PPM, which is the private placement memorandum, is the official document that explains the project from A to Z. Okay. Can a minor be a partner in an LLC with one of his parents? That's a question for Christian. Not sure if you have.
Yeah, so basically let's see, can a minor be a partner in an LLC with one of his parents? Okay, so a minor does not have the ability to sign a contract. Basically, that's an issue. However, what you could do is you could have you could set up a trust for that minor. So that's one way that you could handle it. A minor would not have the capability, because they're below the age of majority, to sign any documentation or accept any contract.
So the trust would be basically someone is managing the trust for the minor. If I get that right.
Yeah, that's correct. The basically the parent could be the trustee, trustee of that trust.
Okay. Do you help for trust formation, or do you have any contacts that helps you to do that, Christian?
Yeah, I have an amazing trust attorney.
Okay.
Yeah, he's not cheap, but I'm gonna say it that there's a website called willsandtrust.com, and I've used it, and it's pretty amazing. So
Okay.
yeah, that's another option, is basically DIY, do it yourself.
Okay. Awesome. All right. So that's why does Christian prefer Florida LLC? I missed this one.
Yeah. So Florida in general is a pretty business friendly state. The fees are relatively low, and also the level of bureaucracy that you have to deal with is just very easy. I don't see the only difference that you get between Delaware and Florida. Delaware doesn't publish any data you can't see anything beyond the name of the LLC. You'd have to inquire, versus Florida has a little bit less restrictions. So Florida, you can go to sunbiz.gov, and you can see who the managers of the LLC are, of the LLC. But Delaware basically it's bulletproof. It doesn't show anything. The flip side of that is that Delaware charges a hefty fee, right? So basically, the way that they work is they work for large, institutions and clients. People want to get stuff done super quickly, and they charge for that. So if you go regular service in Delaware, it could take you up to a month, and if you go express, they'll do it in 6 hours, but you'll pay 5 times as much. So that's the way that Delaware is set up. It's very good, but it's expensive. Florida is, I think, equally good and not nearly as expensive.
Mm-hmm. Wyoming is pretty good if you want to stay private as well and not have your name displayed on the internet. So that's an option. But we can always debate. These rules are changing over time, so we'll keep in touch with that. And I think we wrapped up the questions. Thank you again. I wish you.
Can I just get you to share I wasn't able to chat into the chat. If you could just share my email, that'd be great. It's cdolong@nexusglobal.cpa.
Yeah. Well, Paul can add it in the email as well of everyone that was present on the webinar. cdolong, at
nexusglobal.cpa.
Okay. Well, thank you. Okay. I wish everyone a great end of the week, a great end of February. We'll talk to you soon, and thank you. Take care.